Hey guys, and welcome to a very different kind of video. This video is not going to be covering anything really in terms of Let It Die gameplay or whatever, but it is going to be covering a wish list that I've been making for a long time when it comes to Let It Die. All of the things that I'm hopefully going to mention are attainable. I do hear stuff from you guys sometimes saying stuff like, I would really want to see a multiplayer, a co-op kind of in Let It Die, but just a lot of things make me think that could never really happen monetarily and etc. And just the way that they would conflict with other existing things would be far too hard to code, I think. And yeah, so I'm gonna be sticking to the things that I think are attainable and also work within the world, I suppose. Anyways, without further ado, this is my wish list for Let It Die. Hopefully in future updates, we'll see at least some of these. Also, be sure to tell me in the comments down below what you guys would want to see from Let It Die. Good. Let's begin. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is the thing that I think is the most accomplishable. Although I'm not a game designer, so what do I know, you know? But, I'm surprised that they haven't actually done something like this, and I would really love to see it. It'd actually be something I probably would even spend money in. But I don't know why they haven't pumped cosmetics in terms of your Husk. So you know your character that you're playing, your fighter? I would love if they actually had different presets and actually went crazy with some of the presets. Like right now, I always rock the dude who's a bit more tan skin and whatnot, just because I think it looks awesome. But I would love so badly if we had a fighter that was just like bone and skull, if that makes any sense. So like, and I don't want to like, I know there's limitations that what they could do because they couldn't like put a mask on the character, because when you wear your mask, your actual headpiece, it may conflict. I'm literally just talking about if you were to take your fighter, and the idea that I have is if you were to just take his like skin tone and make it like a bone white and maybe amplify his black veins a little bit. He could be bald, he could have hair, it doesn't really matter. Bald would make sense to kind of go with the whole like bone flesh thing, but I would love that, even if it was something silly, like if there was a character that had like clown makeup, or maybe like a skull painted on his face, not like an actual skull because that would conflict with headgear, but just customizable additions to your fighters. But yeah, wouldn't that be amazing? Would add something, even if it costs a little bit more kill coins or even death metal or whatever. Hopefully it didn't cost too much death metals, but it'd be really cool to see something like that, where your Husk could actually be somewhat different. Maybe you have a Husk, like a female that looks badass and has a giant scar covering her eye because you want a really cool looking Dex character. You know, something like that. Maybe it doesn't have to be a Dex, could be a melee character or whatever. But just adding more value to just the faces and the construction of these characters and out of these fighters. Because to me that's something that I've always wanted is more control over what I kind of look like in the game. I think that'd be really cool. Now I don't think they should necessarily add a whole customization, tweaking your face bones and all that other stuff kind of thing, because I think that's way too much work for a little return on that. But if they were just to come out tomorrow and say, hey, we have these exotic Husks that basically are just weirdos, that have like a bone skin like I was talking about with black veins protruding, or people who have like a clown mask on, or a person that's rocking the Day of the Dead face thing, or a woman that's rocking the Day of the Dead face thing, that'd be amazing. Shit like that I would love to tears in Let It Die. Just cosmetic ththings, basically. I feel like in Let It Die we don't really have a lot of cosmetic things. We do have cosmetic armor that can be good, but I think it'd be cool, even if there was like, what do you call it, like tattoos for your Husk, something, like a Husk that had like crazy ass tattoos. That'd be amazing. That'd be cool. I'd do that. I'd buy that. I'd mess with that. Now, on that topic, I kind of mentioned it in passing, but my next wish list thing, that was number 1, this is number 2, is I would love so badly if they took inspiration, if Grasshopper Manufacturer took inspiration for one of their other games. And it kind of makes sense within the world of Let It Die. So in Let It Die, we're told that we have these fighters, these Husks that we're kind of piloting throughout the Tower of Barbs. But we also see these things called tubers, and I'm not really sure about the lore of them, but we just know that they're kind of like weird, humanoid-looking kind of things that got messed up badly. But to me, I would really, really love it if they eventually at some point added exotic Husks, or Husks with more importance. Like right now we have all-rounded skill masters, Dex characters and stuff, which I enjoy. It's fun if you want to specialize in a weapon group. But to me, I would really love it if there was like a fighter that was crossed between a tuber. Maybe had like a tuber arm. except instead of it being like just the tubers with the two arms, they just come and smack you. Maybe not them, but I think it'd be really cool if there was a fighter that essentially was missing an arm, but it was replaced with this kind of tuber, kind of, if you guys have ever played a game called Killer is Dead, the main protagonist, his whole arm is like this weird biotic tuber looking thing. Anyways, okay, so let me just explain a template of what it would be in my eyes. They could tweak it or whatever, but I think it'd be really cool if we had a fighter for sale that was missing his arm, and it was replaced with some sort of weird cannon looking thing, whatever you want to look like. I would hope that it'd be inspired by the lore, like the tubers and whatnot. So he's missing an arm. So what this would do is it would cancel out two-handed weapons for your character. So you could never use two-handed weapons with that character. Now you might be saying, what? Why would I like cancel out an entire group of weapons for this character? That seems crazy. Well, that's because to me, I really want a character in the game that is really efficient in using rage. And to me, I feel like rage is kind of undershadowed a little bit because of the strong decals like Barbarian and whatnot. Like there's tons of decals that affect your rage gain, but not enough decals that really take away from the rage durability hit on a lot of the weapons that you use. Their rage moves, if that makes any sense. So basically, my idea is that you're missing an arm, you're no longer able to use two-handed weapons, Barbarian decal no longer works, and the plus side, the reason why you'd want this character, is because that thing on his arm, that cannon, is a rage siphon, basically. So you have no left arm, you're only able to use your right hand for machete using any other one-handed weapon. But when you build up enough rage, that'll be the thing that fuels your arm to do some sort of elemental hit. So I think it'd be really cool if you had a cannon kind of arm or a spiked kind of gauntlet, that when you use your rage move and you hit your left trigger or your left arm, the one that's all bionic, you just put your hand forward and spikes would come flying out and it would do poison damage as well as a bunch of physical damage. But it wouldn't ever take away from the durability of your hand, because it's just like the fist, because that's the only real rage move I tend to use in the game is my fist, because it doesn't take away durability from my weapons, and I know I don't have to worry about any of that, right? I can just use it and it's done. Except your fist, just eventually, its rage move for your bare fist just doesn't have enough kick anymore. Also, if you're fighting smarter AI, they just recover from it instantly. But it'd be really cool if they played to the elements like I was mentioning. So again, you have a spike gauntlet, you hit your rage move, hit L2, you hit an enemy with spikes. If you have a fire gauntlet, whatever, you take aim, you use your rage move, maybe you just blast a giant explosive cannon, boom, in that area, doing a decent amount of damage, as well as a fire dot, maybe even taking down some armor. That'd be great. Electricity, maybe you have something that can cause a stun, and then the amount of rage that it would take to fuel your arm for a one giant use could be however much they decide to balance it. It could take 4 to power up this one thing, which honestly I'm fine with because there's so many times where I'm just playing the game and I realize I'll have 5 rage moves, and I just don't use them because I know it takes a lot of the weapons that I use tend to really get destroyed whenever I use a rage move, and I don't really think the rage moves are that good on some of the weapons that I personally use. Maybe yours is different. If you have the Bowling Crusher, the rage move is great for that one, but yeah, I don't really have that. And yeah, I really like this because it would give a lot of value to decals that I feel like don't get enough airtime. Like there's a lot of decals that have to do with rage gain, and to me that'd be like this character's bread and butter. If you had a character like this that was really good at using his rage move and his rage move was good, and it didn't really take away any durability, and you had a freaking cyber cannon arm, that's pretty amazing, just on a passive level, and if it was inspired by the Tuber series, so you could kind of work that into the thing, and then you could go a step further with that, like maybe you have a people with Tuber leg, and maybe they could have a double-edged sword, you know, with my idea, you can no longer use two-handed weapons. Maybe with like something where you have a Tuber leg, maybe you can sprint for longer distances of time, but you take twice as much stamina cost when doing a dodge. Stuff like that I think would be really cool to make a sacrifice for the character and the things that you value. I would love stuff like that. Alright, so that's number 2. Basically, cosmetic skins for your fighters, maybe different faces. It'd be cool if they added something simplistic, just like a Day of the Dead themed face paint, just to make it simple. And I'd probably spend like 3 or 4 kill coins on that. Would love it. Anyways, the second thing is that I would love to see fighters that actually have some sort of give to them, like, again, and I would really love it if they were inspired by the Tuber series. And to me, again, that's a personal thing that I find with the game, is that I never feel comfortable using my rage move because I know it takes away so much durability, and some of them are not that good, and it'd be nice, and I would personally invest in a character that just had always a very good rage move and wouldn't cost me durability for my weapons and stuff like that. Anyways, and again, you could go a step further and like do a tuber lag that had various degrees of positives and negatives, stuff like that. But the next thing is also on the fighter's end. To me, I'm at endgame more or less right now, but I would really love it if there was more investment and or chance in getting your fighter. So right now, when you go to buy a fighter, you have a chance of getting a pretty good fighter in terms of its level, or a really bad leveled fighter. You can only really tell when you level them up. I think it'd be really, really cool if you added one more drop of RNG into that. So maybe every single time you get a grade 6 character, they have a random chance. Maybe it's a random, it's like a tab below how to get your fighter, and it's just a random question mark. And the reason why you do this, to maybe get a random lucky star, all-rounded, dex character, whatever, is that it would come with a random 3-star decal embedded in the character permanently, without having, without taking up decal slots. So it could be something as simple as like, hey, I would grind for a long time if there was something like a rage gain whatever, you know, like a rage gain enhancement on the character. I would love to have that just on a passive level. If there was one that reduced stamina cost or sprint speed cost, I would immediately grind for that. Like, I would love to do stuff like that. Something so tiny, I think, would add so much hunt for the player base in Let It Die. So to recap, cosmetic fighters. Fighters that are inspired by the Tuber series, but also mechanically change. Third thing is to just have fighters that maybe have a random perk roll on their character, decal roll on their character, just to add some sort of thing into wanting the best character, wanting the perfect character, that kind of thing. Also, if you could maybe let me buy a grade 6 skill fighter without having to take on Red Napalm Nightmare twice, I'd pay like 500,000 kill coins, please, please. Hey guys, me here in post and or in editing. I missed but one desire on my wish list that I completely forgot about when making this video. But essentially, I've talked about it before, but I think it'd be amazing if they introduced brass knuckles. And furthermore, deeper mastery. Weapons that, you know, don't really get affected by kill coin gain or spalithium gain or XP gain or anything like that, but instead, they have a deep mastery that maybe increases their attack speed just a touch, that only really comes into effect when you fully max it out. Things like the third hit on an enemy does massive damage or something like that, so you're incentivized to keep hitting. Or maybe to build up something with another weapon and then hit him with another. Whatever it may be. To me, a deeper mastery and more in-depth ways of playing with certain weapons is amazing, and I hope dearly that they eventually do that, either with like a rehaul of the weapon system right now, or the mastery system right now, or better yet, with every new weapon that's coming out. Hopefully, we have deeper mastery that's not just more kill coins on a glory kill or something like that. Maybe it would be something like, I don't know, when you do a Gore-tastic, you have a chance of spawning a decoy, and anything like that, something that would genuinely make the mastery be like, oh wow, that's amazing. And like I said, the whole brass knuckles thing is just simply, I miss my fist. I miss weapons that are high in durability, and they're just kind of good. They're not like amazing, but they're just kind of good. So yeah, and also I think brass knuckles evolving would be so sick. You're just having a little piece of metal in your hand, evolving into a giant gauntlet with barbed wire and poison dripping off it. Sorry. Yeah, I think that'd be amazing. So yes, deeper mastery is also on my wish list, and of course, brass knuckles. I hope dearly that they add that in the future. Yeah. Okay, and back to me in the past. And lastly, my final wish list for Let It Die is I really hope that their next big expansion to the Tower of Barbs isn't another couple floors, because I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, but I think a while back they showed how many people in Let It Die actually beat the final boss. I don't know what his name is, but the floor 40 boss. They showed how many people actually beat him, and I think it was like a quarter of the player base actually ended up getting to that and doing that. So to me, I would really like to see how many people made it to the highest possible floor with the new additions. And to me, it kind of seems like you made a bunch of content for not a lot of people, like for the people that are at end game, and they make up maybe 1/10 of the player base, and you made a bunch of content for just those 10 people. You know what I mean? Whereas I feel like maybe you should try to make the brunt of the content for everybody. And to me, in that exact fight, the final boss that we end up fighting in Let It Die, we are in this amazing battle arena where these weird people are cheering us on. And I think it would work so perfectly well if maybe it was a subgenre, like instead of going up, maybe we went down, and when we'd go down, we would fight the remnant of all the husks that have fallen, maybe into like worse decay. Or maybe that's when you start fighting a different enemy that's like a tuber kind of husk. Anyways, point being is that my general idea for a new big expansion, instead of adding 10 new floors, maybe add 10 new floors downwards, and instead of it being just kind of weirdly leveled based, instead maybe just make it a battle arena. You're fighting waves upon waves of enemies, and maybe when you did your special, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but if you tap both of your triggers, your character will do its special little animation. He'll like type on a keyboard or do a somersault, stuff like that. Maybe that would give some sort of merit for that in-game ability, and when you do that, the crowd would chant, and they maybe would throw you a special weapon that you could use to fight them. Now, the only way that I think that this could be used properly is if you had to pay maybe like a little bit of money, like 10,000 kill coins, just to be able to get in, to be able to like start to try to fight off wave after wave of husks. Okay, let's regroup a little bit. So there's an arena, and I basically am just kind of going off gladiator stuff. Like I talked about how, you use your special chant ability, and hopefully they drop you a weapon. And the idea is that you're just trying to survive waves. So you're trying to pick up weapons, kill an enemy, and this would force the player to have a good knowledge of almost every weapon he's using and how to counter with almost all of them, so it would be fairly difficult. Now, I think based on how many waves you survive would be your reward. So maybe there's 4 boxes that can be filled. So let's say there's 10 waves in total. If you make it to wave 3, you get some okay gear, maybe some like wire mount, nothing crazy, like 10 floor range stuff. If you make it to 5 rounds, maybe you start dipping into like 20 to 30 stuff. And maybe when you make it to 10 or 8 or something like that, maybe that's when you start getting into some sort of really good stuff, like red medals, purple medals, maybe if you're able to make it to the very, very end. And to me, I'm just thinking about the way that would work, and if they did this, I'd be so hyped because, again, round 10 to 5 would be probably just some lesser husks, nothing insane, stuff that you could probably manage, especially if you have an understanding of each weapon and etc. And you'd just be chucking on armor. If they did do this, that'd be the one thing that I hope they tweak. Just for this specific game mode is the speed in which you pick up stuff, because that'd be a detriment. Like if an enemy had a machete or a claw, God forbid, you can't pick up a single weapon because by the time you reach down, you're gonna get clawed. So it just wouldn't work. But also the fun that they could have. Like they have so many traps in the game that are used to kill us. Well, why not to make that more gamified and allow that to actually affect husks or screamers, sorry, and not us, and we could use them against our enemies. That'd be really cool. And to me, I get hyped about what I would hope would be the round 10. Which to me, round 10 would be so amazing if they dropped Cohen, Gatto, and what's her damn name? I can't remember. Shoot, damn it. The gunner lady, the gunner boss, basically the mini bosses. If they drop them all on you at the same time, maybe excluding a Jindai, because Jindai I think it'd be too much. It'd be like finicky at that point. But I feel like genuinely Cohen and the gunner lady and even Gatto could kind of work in the same environment. It may be a bit laggy and tricky, and if you couldn't do it all at once, maybe it's just like round 10 you have to fight all of them at once. Not like reducing their health, the same health that they would always have, that kind of thing. I think it'd be amazing. It'd be great. Big no-nos that I really would hope that they wouldn't do though, in this kind of like battle arena, level-based arena kind of progression, I really would hope that they wouldn't ever add a timer on as a deterrent, that to me would just ruin the whole thing. To me, if this was ever a thing, I would love it if it was just like, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and fight in the arena for a little bit. Maybe I can get lucky and get some red medals. You know, maybe I'll just roll the dice and see how I fare. And also, I would hope that it wouldn't cost you anything if you died. You know, I think it should just be, your character should just sprout back up and be like, I failed. Whatever. But it would still cost you like 10,000 to just participate in the event. Anyways, so I really would hope that they wouldn't add like you have 4 minutes to kill all these screamers in order to get to the next wave. I would hate that. That would, to me, would ruin it. Don't do that, please. But the other thing that I think would be would be awesome if they didn't, I don't know how to say this, but basically, Let It Die is a free-to-play game, so of course there needs to be some thing there that hopefully pulls you to buy either cosmetics or something, right? You want to keep the game afloat. So to me, I think it'd be really cool if in this kind of method, basically in Let It Die, some things are very difficult, or they're there just to one-shot kill you, just so that you probably would die, and that you probably would use a death medal to pull yourself back up. But that to me gets finicky, because a lot of times, a lot of things just one-shot kill you, and there's not much fight in you to want to continue if you know that you're just gonna get back up and then get shot down again. But in the arena wave-based survival, that to me would be the thing that would push you forward. Maybe you get to like the 8th wave and you're fighting and you're almost there, and you just mistime something just a little bit, and then you go down and you're like, dude, I'm so close to getting to 8, and if I can get to 8, that's when purple metal starts to spawn, and I need purple metal for so many things. It's like the only thing I really need. Sure, bink, and you use a death medal, and that's actually justified. It makes sense in this instance. And then you go and you beat him, and then you're like, all right, cool, I just got to that stage, awesome. And maybe that's all you want. Maybe you just want to have the chance of getting a purple, and then you're like, all right, kill me, boom, and then you get killed, and then you move on to the next thing. To me, that'd be so amazing. I would love that arena style thing in Let It Die, and also I think they have a lot of the templates they need to make that happen. But yeah, an arena battle kind of stuff where you're just picking up a weapon, using it, picking up a weapon, using it, that kind of thing, I would love. I think it'd be amazing. Anyways, yeah, guys, that's more or less it. This was my wish list for Let It Die. Sorry for it being so long. I just kind of wanted to explain it. The one thing I'm a bit worried that I didn't explain enough, like some of the things I feel like are fairly obvious. I think we should have Husk customization for some things, even if it's just template customization, like, again, Day of the Dead face paint, clown makeup, maybe retexturing the skin on our fighter just to be like pale white bone with black veins popping. I think that'd look badass. Maybe red eyes, shit like that. Maybe glowing eyes if you want to get crazy. That'd be amazing. I think people would line up to get their hands on stuff like that. The arena thing more or less describes itself, kind of like a battle arena kind of experience. Anyways, not like a battle royale. Anyways, having more reason to invest in your fighters if they had a chance to have an embedded decal on them, I think would be really cool. But the one thing I'm worried that maybe didn't make sense is the whole tuber thing. But I hope you guys are understanding what I'm trying to get at with that. Is that like there's a negative, but there's one hell of a reward if you want to play that way, I suppose. And yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching as always. Hopefully, the designers actually see this and they think about it. I don't know nothing. so if they even consider it for half a second, that'd be awesome. But again, be sure to let me know in the comments what the heck you guys want to see in the game. I'd love to hear it. Thank you so much for your time, and goodbye.